Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
Wise choice. You'll wear the Eye of Agamotto once you've mastered its powers. Until then, best not to walk the streets wearing an infinity stone.
A what?
You might have a gift for the mystic arts, but you still have much to learn.
Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Carbonite Convos. It's Nick here, and just want to thank you for your support for another Marvel short story. As you all know, our past couple Marvel short stories have been on the history of the Tesseract / Space Stone and Loki's Scepter / the Mind Stone and their journeys throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, following those first two videos, our next stone is the Time Stone and its journey throughout the MCU housed inside the Eye of Agamotto. Much of the Time Stone's history isn't shown in the MCU, so we wanted to explain its origins as well as explain what the Eye of Agamotto actually is. Once again, our current location in the MCU is post-Avengers Endgame. Like all the Infinity Stones, the Time Stone was created by the cosmic entities as one of 6 singularities that predated the history of the universe. The Time Stone is one of the most unique of these 6 gems, as this one has the power to manipulate time. Agamotto, the master sorcerer, constructed the Eye of Agamotto, which was a containment vessel that made the power of this stone much more dangerous. At this point, Agamotto realized the power of the stone and founded the Masters of the Mystic Arts, but forbade the usage of the relic and the stone inside it. The only exception of this rule was Cagliostro, who was the author of the Book of Cagliostro. He was able to study the Time Stone and write about not only how to control it, but also the dangers of its usage and the dangers of the Dark Dimension. It was at this point where all the Masters of the Mystic Arts would swear an oath to protect the Time Stone with their lives. Now, the first time we see the Time Stone is in Doctor Strange, but the first use of the Time Stone in the MCU is actually during the Chitauri invasion in the original Avengers movie. We only find this out in Avengers Endgame, but in 2012 during the Battle of New York, the Ancient One traveled to the New York Sanctum to help drive back the Chitauri army. Moving forward, but at the same time moving back, the most we see the Time Stone is in Doctor Strange. As we hear the Ancient One tell Hulk, Strange was meant to be the best of all the Masters. When he came to Kamar-Taj, he progressed very quickly and almost dangerously quick. It was one night where we see Strange sneak into Wong's library and start studying the Book of Cagliostro, but he noticed a page was missing. While reading about the Eye of Agamotto, he made the daring decision to experiment with the stone. The first time we ever see the Time Stone being used is that night when Strange used it to deteriorate an apple and then reverse time to return the apple to its original shiny form. It was at this moment where Doctor Strange then used the eye to recreate the lost page from the Book of Cagliostro. This missing page warned about Dormammu, an entity that donned apocalyptic power and was the ruler of the Dark Dimension. It was then that Karl Mordo and Wong interrupted the experiment and had to warn Strange about the danger of the Time Stone, with the heaviest personal warning being that Strange could trap himself in a time loop for all eternity if he continued to use the stone. Later in the film, after Caecilius and Dormammu's zealots destroy the sanctums, we see Dormammu and the Dark Dimension start to devour the Earth. Strange then uses the stone again to reverse the damage the Dark Dimension had done, ultimately saving many lives, including Wong's, in the process. This is when Doctor Strange then uses the Time Stone to put he and Dormammu in an eternal time loop. Not knowing that they're in a loop, Dormammu then kills Strange, but Strange then casually walks back up and repeats the same line.
Dormammu, I come to bargain.
After he realized that he's in this time loop, Dormammu told Doctor Strange he will spend eternity dying in this loop, which Strange accepted in return of keeping the Earth safe. After several painful deaths we see, Strange was able to strike a deal with the primordial being that he would end this time loop as long as he and his zealots never returned to Earth again. The next time we see the stone is in Avengers Infinity War, when members of the Black Order come to New York to retrieve the stone from Doctor Strange. During a chaotic battle between Strange and Ebony Maw, the Maw lifts Strange up to him and attempts to steal the eye, but the moment he grabs it, his hand was burned by one of Strange's defense spells. Strange begins to open the Eye of Agamotto, but was quickly restrained by cables that Ebony Maw conjured up from the ground, forcing the eye to remain shut. They both then beam up to their ship, where Ebony Maw then uses microsurgery needles to torture Strange, trying to get the Time Stone released. We eventually see Iron Man and Iron Spider save Strange, and we don't see the stone again until our heroes reach Titan, where they battled Thanos. Before the battle, Doctor Strange gazed through all 14,605 different outcomes of the coming conflict, seeing that the Avengers only defeat Thanos once. After Thanos' arrival, we see Strange use a few different spells throughout their battle with the Mad Titan, but they ultimately were unable to defeat him. After watching Thanos stab Tony Stark through the abdomen, he was forced to give up the Time Stone to Thanos in return for Tony's life, knowing that the only outcome where they won was if Iron Man survived to snap Thanos and his army into oblivion. Thanos then travels to Wakanda with the Time Stone, defeats the remaining heroes, then uses the Time Stone to reverse the events of Scarlet Witch destroying Vision and the Mind Stone, which was the last remaining stone for him to collect. Thanos' devastating snap follows shortly after, and we then see the Time Stone once again in Avengers Endgame in the Ancient One's possession. Like I mentioned earlier, the Ancient One traveled to the New York Sanctum with the Time Stone during the 2012 Chitauri invasion. During the time heist back to this battle, Bruce is able to convince the Ancient One to give up the Time Stone after telling her that Strange willingly gave it to Thanos. We can tell by her reaction to this news that this was the crossroads of her entire being. She swore to protect the stone with her life, but now knew that she had no choice but to give it to Bruce. We then see the stones all forged inside the Nano Gauntlet, where they're then used to snap all life back from 5 years prior by Hulk, then to snap Thanos and his army into oblivion by Tony, costing him his life. From here, the last time we see the Time Stone is when Cap travels back in time to return all 6 stones to their own timelines, with this particular stone being brought back to the Ancient One in New York City. Now the real question is, will we see this stone again? Right now, we're not sure, but if you think about it, what would the new Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness film be without their chief weapon against the forces of darkness? So again, you guys, thank you for your support for another Marvel short story. Also, we introduced a new segment last Friday called Funko Fridays, so give that a look. But in the meantime, may the Force be with you guys.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.